Good people of a great nation, I welcome you back to the discussion segment of Development Focus with Jude Ojo on ITV. Recall that when we went on that break to take the news, I told you that on top of the hour we are going to start our discussion segment. So we're going to be discussing critical national issues. And what is that issue that is most important to us right now in Nigeria, aside of security, is our preparation for 2023 elections. And today, it is expected that the National Assembly, the Senate and House of Reps will start the consideration of Electoral Bill 2021. So, we are going to be having a preview from the prism of civil society. What are our expectations? What hiccups do we envisage? What are the scenarios that will likely play out? But before then, we will touch briefly on the rejection of Loretta Onoche, as well as the passage of Electoral Offences Commission Bill. And I have a very distinguished guest, an Americana, a public administrator, a civil society juggernaut, Austin Omori Aigbe. He will be talking to us. He is the program manager of with Center for Democracy and Development. You're welcome, Austin.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
This is your second coming, like Jesus Christ.
No, we'll go back.
Okay, like we'll go back. Okay, so Austin.
Yes, sir.
People already know you. You are a media-friendly person. What's your brief take on rejection of Onoche? CDD, like many other civil society, issued statements and they wrote petition to National Assembly. Are you satisfied with what played out on the floor of Senate yesterday?
Yes, the eyes have it. Why it is important that the eyes...
No, the nails, it was the nails that have it.
The nails have it, yeah, you're right. The nails have it. And that was very historic. But however, we haven't reviewed that the reason for the rejection. We feel that the Senate was a bit, maybe also political in terms of the decision they took. Onoche is political, beyond the federal character which they use, which is also very valid. Onoche is very political.
So she's partisan.
Yes, partisan. Let me use the word. You are right, partisan. Because again, and she also lied before the Senate committee when she said Mayor Ogbomoche is representing Cross River State, whereas Mayor Ogbomoche her name was sent to National Assembly for confirmation as Delta State representative.
Yes, that came out yesterday.
The same way Onoche was sent to National Assembly as Delta State representative. When she said no, May is Cross River, that is clearly to mislead the Senate committee. That was even enough reason to just say, well, this person lied to us. Following this investigation, we discovered that Mayor Ogbomoche is from Delta. That aside, the partisanship nature, the Constitution forbids anyone that is partisan. In fact, the Constitution expressly stated.
And partisanship is not even about being
it doesn't matter.
If I show too much sympathy for a particular,
that you have to go out of your way to fight another person over that party. Why do people say that a station like yours, people say that station is partisan? Is a station a member of the party? No, of course no. Partisanship is
the sympathy you show
and you towards outrightly. And we know Madam Onoche to be outrightly in defense of Mr. President and a strong ally. Let's not make this whole scenario look like we are in a republic that does not care for the Constitution. Mr. President still respects the Nigerian Constitution, and I believe that Mr. President will stay on that to continue to respect the Nigerian Constitution. Mr. President respected his own party Constitution, let alone the Nigerian Constitution. So Mr. President has very high respect for the Constitution. I believe that Mr. President will do the right thing to appoint Madam Onoche to another juicy position. In fact,
are you saying INEC position is juicy?
No, INEC position is not even juicy. What I'm saying is that remove her from that. She's in the storm. She's just unnecessary. The commentaries and all is unnecessary because she has the capacity. Let also get it clear. Madam Onochie does have the capacity. Nobody has talked about her capacity. We are talking about her partisanship nature and all of the things she has earlier done with her Twitter handle and elsewhere. In fact, we have recommended that MPA is free. The board of the NDDC is there. She's from Delta State, very qualified to be. So, but leave her away from this election.
Okay, let's put a cap on that. Yesterday, Senate passed the Electoral Offences Commission bill. Are you happy with that?
Very excited, even though we have not seen the copy that was passed. We were at the public hearing and we did recommend a lot of areas that we focused on. Number one, where the way the bill was framed ab initio before the passage. Like I said, I haven't seen the past, the one that went through. The way the bill was framed, it somehow protected the politicians and put the electoral management and other voters in the storm. So, for example, there was nowhere where a politician lied on oath, where a politician supplied false information to INEC, where a politician is alleged to have been involved in XYZ. And to the way it is framed, there were certain clauses that talked about when the authority foresee that you are going to commit an electoral crime, that person could be arrested. And we ask the question, how do you know to foresee? That could be a very smart way to send a wrong signal to the opposition camp. That we can actually arrest you and say, well, we think that you are going to plan an electoral offense.
It's like somebody said, a father beat a child in the morning. And the child said, Daddy, what did I do wrong? He said, no, you are very stubborn. I know before I come back from work, you will have committed an offense.
Exactly. And when you create that loophole, state incumbent can easily exploit that and go after a strong opponent and arrest the person because investigation will be going on, election would have been over. So we don't. So those clauses we were very
but we may still be dealing with amendments. I mark you that still this House of Reps to concur. Yes, then the presidential assent will still be needed.
We expect the president to actually sign because we need an electoral offences commission. It's part of the unbundling of INEC recommended by the
since 2008.
Yes.
Okay, so let's come back to this issue because of time. The issue of Electoral Bill 2021. What are the scenarios you think will likely play out between today and tomorrow?
We expect that because, again, with all due respect to the Senate Committee, they've done a very fantastic job, including some of the proposals from the civil society organization, including the actors, CDD. We were happy when they, for the first time, introduced an electronic digital and e-voting mechanism in the Act. However, they added a caveat that provided the result is not transmitted electronically.
That's the version of Senate.
That's the version of Senate.
They all said they are not party to that.
We did not see it. We are talking about the one we saw. Because, again, you are right, they must be concurrent at the end of the day. So, if there is a conflict, who take the decision? Are you going to? They will then go to the executive, who will now strike at that and say, no, return back the same way we did before 2019 election.
That's 2018 version.
2018 version, yes.
Okay.
That is not even official. So, but to clear it out, we need to have e-voting and electronic transmission of results. It will reduce a lot of the manipulation with the collation process. Beyond manipulation, because in our report of 2019, we said the collation process in this country is opaque, is unnecessarily frustrating. You saw in the 2019 election when Mahmoud Yakubu was declaring, reading out the result or accepting result from the state. One of the returning officers from the state was battling with figures. In fact, they had to give him
one requested for pencil and ruler, and one requested for extra life.
So, but sincerely, it was not the fault of that returning officer. Any error from the polling unit get transferred to the collation, get transferred up to the state, and get transferred to the national. If you don't address it at that lower level, it gets to the national. So why do we need to continually follow that human error and to continue to do the same thing over and again and expect a different result, people say it's madness. We are not mad in this country. There should be a change in the philosophy. That is why when you do polling at the voting is done at the polling unit level, let the result be collated there, let it be transmitted, let it be first of all automated. Automated, it will just add up itself, and the result is printed out right at that polling unit. People say, what about the AKI system? What's the sure way of balancing? We have also advised that it could be, you could part in the law that where electronic e-voting is used, there should be a paper trail. What does that mean? When I go to a polling unit and I click on the device, I click on paper.
Yes, if you do electronic balloting.
It becomes electronic balloting. But there must be a paper trail.
Yes.
So when I click on my party, the party I want to vote for, I should get a receipt like the POS. That receipt becomes a ballot. Collect the ballot, go out and put it in the ballot box. That way, we'll have a tally.
You can reconcile.
You need to reconcile before you leave the polling unit and before you send that result out. So what will happen is simple. While the polling unit, of course, there will be observer, the police, officials, party agents are all present. You count the paper trail, you automate the electronic one, they both agree, and they say, if they agree, you say yes. You write the result in the form EC60E. Write it, everybody agree, they sign.
That is the people's result.
The people's result. You paste it. Once that is done, no party will even argue when they know they've lost election. The party are supposed to have agents who send them result of their polling unit. So ideally, party is supposed to have a framework, like a war room, or they call it situation room, where those results are coming in, and they are seeing it in real time as the results are coming. When they have lost election, they don't need to go to court. However, if they foresee a manipulation in polling unit XYZ and they feel that it has capacity to alter their vote, they could then raise those areas with evidence. I think that's exactly what we need in this country.
Okay. So let's hope that because I read a couple of days ago that due to public outcry, even the Senate that seems to have
adjusted,
they have gone to erase that section that said there will be electronic transmission of results
until it is made.
But we are giving them benefit of that.
Yes.
They are distinguished people.
But so, I think that the Senate actually, that committee, with all due respect to them, I hope they listen. They listen to the public.
Yeah.
So I just believe what you said, even though we also have that. We have also
we are giving them benefit of that. Yes. That's the controversial section of twisting INEC to say you cannot do electronic transmission. Let it be the commission that will say we cannot do it at this time. Or this is the level at which we can do. We can go. But to now, because we shouldn't be doing this like every 4 years we are going to alter the electoral act. Let it be in the law.
At least for a period of time.
For a period of time. And if INEC now, at least they will be able to do pilots.
Hopefully, have to be pilots.
Yes.
Anambra is coming, Ekiti, and Osun election. So, and certainly they may have House of Reps, Senate, depend on what happened between now the elections.
So,
but not just that anyway. We also know the escalation of campaign finance. You are an expert in campaign finance.
Yes. They said they've moved the campaign finance ceiling to 15 billion for the president.
Yes.
You see, for me, and this is even the so-called 15 billion we agitated over. These people who run for presidential election will spend far more than that.
True.
The reason being that, Austin, even look at the cost of services and goods in the market. In the last 10 years that we pegged the ceiling at 1 billion, what was the value of Naira at that time? What is the value of Naira now? I think what they should have done is not to go the route of putting a figure. They could have just said, for every voter, they could have said 20 Naira or 50 Naira multiplied by the number of registered voters in the state. Do you get it? So if for the president now, if you say 2 Naira or 20 Naira multiplied by
the citizens.
The number of registered voters, not citizens. The number of registered voters.
Yes.
So that way it could be higher, it could be lower. But when you put a figure, even this so-called 15 billion will pale into insignificance by 2023 because of rising inflation. But let's leave that. There is this also the controversy around INEC's power to review what the returning officer has declared. As we saw in Imo, where people were put under pressure to make declaration, and when INEC wanted to exercise administrative power, they said no. The law does not give you any rule. So what's your take on that?
I think from lessons learned, people have argued that how can you put it on INEC, and so the chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Joga, will now just erase anything. And I said no, INEC is not Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. INEC
is the commission that will sit to review.
INEC is the commission. There are 12 members, including the
chairman, making 13.
And they may not even be the one to decide. They may set up committee which involve the police, the civil society organization.
To see what
happened. Count the ballot again and ensure that the proper winner. You see what happened in Imo. It's a clear case that we don't need to. Politicians will explore that in the future. It's already a game. So just because the law says that when an election is declared, only the court, only the tribunal can say otherwise. If we do that, people will go after the ROs, that return officer, put a gun on their head and ask them to announce them, even if they are not even on the ballot. And
now there is also a clause I read, which is part of what is going to be considered, that the court should no longer declare winner in an election. That if the election is deemed flawed, INEC should rerun that election. Well, have we thought about the cost implication of rerunning elections that are flawed? If it is a blatant case that fraud has taken place, shouldn't we allow the court to say, no, this is the person that won, this is the person that lost?
I think we need to use wisdom in this case. Like the case of Imo, I think that's why people are angry. Many influential persons, including the former president of this country, has actually raised that our court is taking a center stage of deciding who wins an election. That the people are no longer the one deciding, which is very true. Happenings around is showing that.
To an extent.
So in Imo, the case of Imo ought not to have happened at all because they did not rely on any ballot paper. They rely on tabulation done by the plaintiff or by the applicant. You don't rely on what somebody result is like going to write JAM and I now write my result and I went to university and give them the result and they now accepted my result. My own result that I wrote by myself at home. You now accepted it. Are you not supposed to go back to JAM office and ask them where is Austin's result? Then the JAM gives you my result. But in this case, who should bring the result? INEC should bring the result. Because INEC conducted the election. All the court need to do, if there's that conflict exists, get all the ballot papers and then count them one by one and declare in an open manner. In any case, there is no state is up to a million votes. No state. I'm not too sure that I'm not aware that any state there's a winner. One candidate got 1.something million vote to win
over and above in a
governorship election. I mean the highest may be like 500 or 600
difference. Yeah.
So it has never been that. So even if it's a million votes, we'll commit, we'll sit there in 1 week. That's the worst. After all, that same vote can be counted in 3 days. They did it in 3 days. So why can't you put people in place, get your observer, put them there. Or get agents, put them there. Or A, B, do the sorting publicly, impossible, record it. You don't need to use expensive media. So record social media is not expensive. On the internet.
Austin, we can't keep you here for long because of your other engagement. But what, in your final thoughts, are you looking forward to with this unimportant bill? Because this is about them. After PIB, I think this electoral bill 2021 is the most important piece of legislation that Nigeria
I actually think because you mentioned PIB, because PIB is like Methuselah in National Assembly. But actually, for me, the Electoral Act is more important because it's the law that will help the PIB.
Yes.
Because if you have a weird election, the PIB will not be implemented. If you have people elected based on an electoral legislation that brings about the credibility process, that brings about the real people, you may not even need PIB if everything works well. I think what we need to put is that people need to understand that a country's election is very important, because if you manipulate that process and you have wrong people in power, they will continue to undermine every democratic gains we have had. We can avoid that with this piece of legislation. The Electoral Act 2021 bill, the Senate committee need to listen to people, listen to civil society, listen to the voice of God speaking through the mouth of men and women who have been talking about this same issue. And I believe they've had. I believe they've had.
Do you foresee a situation where there will be passage of different versions by House of Reps and Senate, in which case we will not need a conference committee, and then we will not see the final bill until when they resume from their annual vacation in September or thereabout?
That could be their strategy. Again, don't forget that by now we have to have had the Electoral Act in place already.
Yeah,
first quarter.
December. The first quarter, second quarter,
June. Now we are almost ending of July. The Senate President, I said when we had a press conference at the front of the National Assembly, that the Senate President should commit to his commitment. You know, sometimes when you make comment that you cannot even come back to apologize, to say, please, we are sorry, or I am sorry that I told you December and now we are in June. But they said 2 weeks ago, they said 2 weeks after. So we are almost at the end of the 2 weeks. The report has not been laid. Even if it's late today and tomorrow, they are going to have a stampede, and then they quickly put the abracadabra team, and at the end of the day, they say, okay, is it conclusive? We don't want an electoral act that is inconclusive before you go on your recess. We want a conclusive electoral act. The worst is that you do, Tuesday is public holiday, hopefully. Do a marathon one, today, tomorrow, Friday, if they have to be Monday. There's nothing wrong with calling for a special session on a Saturday.
Yes.
And get this bill out. Call for a special session.
No, they are committed to passing it before they go on their annual vacation. Yes. But my worry is, I hope they will not pass different versions, which will then elongate, because then they will have to put together a conference committee, and then the conference committee will harmonize, and then they will have to present for final passage before it will go to the president.
I think with all due respect, the House of Reps committee, headed by Ajaduku and Honorable Ajaduku, and the Senate, headed by Senator Architect Kabiru, has been working together.
No, I know, but anything different will
assume based on precedent, based on their experience, because they are not first timer in the Senate. They've been involved with processes earlier. They know the implication of that, except if it happens, take my word, it is intended.
Okay, it is intended. That would be where we put a cap on it. I will still invite you over when this is eventually passed to audit whether we have something to cheer or whether the waiting was just a futile exercise. Thank you very much, Austin Aigbe, my brother and friend. He's a man of many parts, but I wish you divine success in all your endeavors.
Thank you so much.
Please stay safe and God bless. So that will be the size of the first segment of our discussion. We'll go on short break, and when we return, we'll take the second guest who is already on ground.